Well, blessings and good afternoon, good evening. We're having a little technical issues going on tonight, so I apologize to everyone who was tuning in. We're going to push through it. We're going to fight our way through it. Name is Andy King. Welcome to King Talk Tuesdays, the show with real views, real news, and real talk. Here on King Talk Tuesdays, we discuss so many topics, whether it's education, economics, healthcare, spirituality, and so much more. We tune in live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. on Facebook and our YouTube channel. We also air every Thursday at 10:30 p.m. on Optimal Channel 70 and Files Channel 2136. We are streaming on a number of streaming services such as Roku TV, Amazon Prime, Apple TV, Millennial TV, 24 Class TV, and so much more. So please tune in because you know what I always say, right? People pay attention to people who participate. So tell a friend, tell a neighbor that King Talk Tuesdays is airing right now, and they can send us a comment or a thought on our YouTube or our Facebook, or they can email us at kingtalktuesdays@gmail.com. Again, our email address is kingtalktuesdays@gmail.com. We'll be right back on King Talk Tuesdays after a couple of messages from our friends.
Hi, Frank Perez here from Eastchester Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram, where you'll always pay the least in the East. Right now, we're having a huge end of summer markdown sales event. Every vehicle is priced to sell. Take advantage of low financing, huge savings up to $15,000 off MSRP, plus get the best value for your trade.
Lease a new 2023 Jeep Wrangler 4xe or the all-new 2024 Dodge Hornet, your choice, for $399 per month.
Why shop anywhere else? Eastchester Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram, pay the least in the East.
Jeep Adventure Days.
Welcome to Therodynamics, where we get you back to life. We offer physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy. We accept all major insurances. Don't worry about an appointment. At Therodynamics, walk-ins are accepted. We have locations in the Bronx, Manhattan, Queens, and New Jersey. Our therapists, combined with our cutting-edge technology, will get you back to life. Visit our website at www.therodynamics.com for locations, services, and more.
Oh, yeah. If you have any body issues, your Therodynamics is your answer. And if you need to travel and get around, Eastchester Jeep is the best in the East. So please do so. You know, there's a lot of things that are happening in the world today. But you know what I really just want to know? Our technical issues tonight, but today we just want to know what's going on. As a great singer, Marvin Gaye used to say, "What's going on? What's going on? What's going on?" Hey, we want to tell you what's going on. Well, what we got happening right now, we just want to let you know that the FDNY, we're talking about our good firefighters today. They are talking about doing some things that are really good. Today, the FDNY has welcomed their newest class of 148 EMTs. Congratulations to them. They're about to tackle the city of New York and do wonderful work in saving New Yorkers in the climate that we're experiencing today. Secondly, we want to let you know that October is National Book Month. Ooh, celebrating the importance of reading. As a council member, I created something called Reading is Cool, and we're bringing it back because reading is the number one thing that allows us to learn. Second, we want to let you know that on Thursday, life-giving teachings are happening every Thursday at 7 p.m. at Muhammad Mosque number 7 in the Bronx. Yes, they'll be in the Bronx on 228th Street and 229th Street. The mosque is coming to the Boogie Down Bronx to have these conversations about how do we be spiritually better together. And then we want to let you know, coming up next week, October 4th, Patricia Myers will be having a book signing, because we just told you about the book month, is having a book signing event Thursday at the Eastwood Manor at 6 p.m. at the Eastwood Manor. Next Thursday, October 5th at the Eastwood Manor. Make sure you get there, sign the book, buy the book, get the book. Most importantly, read the book. Next, we want to let you know that the Garvey School is now accepting applications for the scholarship program grades kindergarten through 4th grade. For more information, please contact info@garveyschool.org. Again, that information is info@garveyschool.org, or you can call 718-320-3902. Well, we're going to continue to work this show today, and I hope you all can tune in and send a question, give us your thoughts, anything. We're just going to fight through some of the challenges that we're having with technology. So again, apologize for anything that we might be experiencing. So let's get into, we got some great guests that are here today. They're going to talk about what they're doing because we're back to schooling. You know, school started this month, a couple of weeks ago. First Monday, we had our back to school rally. There were book bag giveaways. Kids were all excited. Now they're back in the classroom. We had some principals. We have some teachers coming to talk. But this week, we're going to have a couple of great authors who are doing some things to help us stay steady in the classroom, as well as one of the greatest principals that I had the opportunity to know and meet here in the Bronx School, June O'Connor from the Garvey School. So we want to welcome her into the show right now. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, one of our great principals, June O'Connor from the Garvey School. Welcome, Sister June. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Andy King. It's a habit, Councilmember Andy King. We still see you as our council member.
That's okay. President Obama will always be President Obama. It's all right.
Thank you so much for inviting me here and your program. You do such a great job of keeping the community informed and just being a part of what we do all the time. That's really encouraging to us.
Oh, well, thank you. Appreciate it. And our next guest for this evening, I want to introduce was someone who is an author I've known her for quite some time. She's been energetic. She has longevity, a good 40 years, 50 years in the game of helping the community, helping kids, and doing it right. You know, one of the things that help our children get it right, which kind of got ripped away from, I think, in the last couple of years, is something called manners and etiquette. Well, this young sister has been the guru of telling us what manners is all about and how do we get our etiquette right. And I want to thank her for the book she just wrote, and we're going to talk more about it. But let's welcome Barbara Gibson, known as Miss G, to King Talk Tuesday. Let's welcome her. Sister G, Miss G, how you doing?
I'm feeling great. It's a pleasure to be with the panel this evening to discuss manners, etiquette, and self-esteem. And thank you for doing all that you do in our community in the Boogie Down Bronx, spreading the word and keeping us all in tune in what's going on in our community and spreading it to others as well. Thank you, Mr. King.
Thank you. Thank you for your commitment and longevity of service to the neighborhood of the Boogie Down Bronx and to all our youth. And our final guest from tonight, you know, we have an author right now in Miss G, who's been talking about manners and etiquette forever as you take them small. And then we have June O'Connor, who is a great principal who's been doing this for decades, who's grabbing them when they're small and helping them navigate as they grow into middle school and sending them off into great high schools. But then we have another part of our lives that when we do come to a conclusion, how we prepared after we've done all this wonderful work on this earth. I want to welcome to the first time the King Talk Tuesday, my good sister, a great author who's about to tell us about what it is when we got to realize as we getting into the fourth quarter of life. Sister Patricia Myers, come on in here and say welcome. Let's welcome Sister Patricia into King Talk Tuesdays.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Andy King, my friend. Thank you for having me here this evening. Yes, I want to help educate the people and help them to understand the importance, not of dying, but organizing your life before that time comes. This way, your loved one will not have to go through a crisis when the time comes. So that's what my book is all about, getting you organized.
All right, that's what we're talking about. Well, let's jump in because we talk about back to school, and that's what the top of this is all about. Schooling comes in all forms, so we're going to school our viewers who are tuning in tonight, and I want to thank everybody who is tuning in. So let's jump into the questions that are rolling in, and the first one we're going to talk to. Since we're back in the schoolroom, we're going to talk to you, Sister June O'Connor. You know, your role at the Garvey School. You know, you've been doing this for a while. Talk to us a little about, as a director, what is your role as the Garvey School encompass? You know, tell us what does that mean?
Oh, thank you so much for the opportunity to talk about the Garvey School experience. As you know, there's just a lot of pushback now on our knowing ourselves or being represented in the content in education. And so what we have been doing is ensure that our children are culturally affirmed. And it's a phrase that I hear being bandied around, but to be culturally responsive in our content and in how our children experience education is the essence of what we do. And we've been doing it. So now it's much more popular, but it's not about the popularity, it's about the experience and allowing our children to develop a strong sense of self. And as you can see, the navigational tools that our children need have become more critical each day. And the earlier our children are able to get into an environment where they're affirmed and they can begin to get the feeling of our ancestors who've done such an amazing job of letting us see what it is to be resilient. And that's a trait that we also hear being talked about. But our little scholars, I call them, we have children as young as 2 who come into our experience, I call it, or educational experience, and they begin immediately to be affirmed. Of course, what we've looked at are the models that have been very successful. And we know that many of our students who've gotten into the highly competitive independent schools are excessively burdened with test prepping. But what we've done at the Garvey School is create a strong foundation. And so it's not necessary for them to lose several years of their lives being prepping because the foundation is already very enriching and very empowering. And so when our students leave, not only are they academically ahead, but they also have a very strong sense of self, know their history, and understand that their path in the world is already there, and they just need the confidence to take it and make use of that opportunity and take advantage of all the opportunities that lie ahead for amazing people of color.
I like that, because as you talk about your story, our story, and how do we make sure that we continue to engage in those conversations, educating our younger ones, when you go into the public school system, sometimes, not sometimes, many times, not many times, most of the time, not most of the time, it's just the time that when they created the system, that our story gets removed or it gets transformed into some other category, or it just it's just fabricated and it doesn't make sense. It doesn't empower. So I want to thank you at the Garvey School, because I've been to your school, and when students walk into your building, they see themselves. And that's the greatest thing that children need to see when they walk into a school building, is seeing themselves. That means they matter, their fathers matter, their mothers matter, their grandparents matter, because they're prevalent in the rooms when it comes to educating. And then we start talking about educating. The greatest thing that anyone can ever have to show some respect is some manners and some etiquette. So if you ain't got no manners and etiquette, everything can go a little left. I'm not just talking at the dinner table evil. So Miss G, let's bring Miss G in, because she is the guru when it comes to manners and etiquette, and doing what she does for all the 40, 50 years she's been doing this work. So Miss G, let's get your microphone turned on and talk a little bit about what has ME, manners and etiquette, mean for you, and how have you been teaching this over the decades?
Well, I noticed that our children were not using them, and I wanted to see how could I help them improve themselves instead of parents and others talking down on them. But we need a new curriculum in our schools, teaching manners, etiquette, and self-esteem, which is social life and self. Our children are educated, but then when they go out into the field for an application or be around others, they forget to use their manners and saying thank you. When it comes time to sit down to a dinner table, they forget or don't know the correct way to use their silverware. And then self, they forgot or haven't been told enough to love themselves and to know that they can and will be somebody. My previous experience now is for me to teach manners, etiquette, self-esteem. And hopefully the parents will pick up and they will learn from it too. I just returned from the South. I had so much hospitality. They would almost knock me down to open the door. They would take my bags out of my shopping cart. They would put me at the beginning of the line, and they would say, "How are you, sweetheart?" And they would wave or they would smile. They were just so open, although we live in an international world today. And that's why I developed my book in manners, etiquette, self-esteem in Spanish and English, so that we all can develop and know our standards that we share here in our beautiful educational field of the art of being somebody. So it's a pleasure to be here tonight. But I find the teachers, the parents, they don't know how to address the manners and etiquette, self-esteem. Until that happens, our children will still be needing those skills.
All right, thank you. Now, before I go into Patricia Myers' conversation, I want to bring Patricia Myers in because she deals with the community regularly in her daily activities. But before I get to both of your books, Sister Myers, talk a little about the manners and etiquette that you have to participate in the work that you do to help families in the moments that they're going through.
Yes, and you definitely adequate in helping families or helping anyone. You have to know, you should know the thank you and how to care for people, the kindness, because when you don't have that, you push people away. Manners is very, very important. As a little girl growing up from the South myself, that's the way we were taught. Thank you, ma'am. Excuse me. How may I help you? And I carry that through my entire life. Even through my career, I have to be able and be conscious when I'm talking to people and letting them know that I'm there to help them, and whatever I can do, that's what I'm there for. So manners, she said, manners is very, very important. Etiquette is very important because that would take you no matter where you go in life. It's not just like where you grew up. You can go from where you are now to the White House or anywhere. Having that etiquette and manners is very important to someone's life.
Thank you for that. So, June O'Connor, you run this school. What is the strategies that you use, because you're dealing with children from kindergarten, and they literally trying to figure out they literally learning stuff at that age. They just raw. So if they don't know, you get the best of something or you get the worst of it. What is your strategy to offer manners and etiquette to such young children?
Thank you for bringing it up, and I'm pleased to be on this panel with Sister Gibson. We've incorporated that during lunchtime when they're seated at the table. And so, we don't like children to eat in the classrooms. We like them to go to the cafeteria and have a dining experience. So we have appropriately sized cutlery for them, so that they're seated at the table, so that they're communicating with each other in a polite and civil manner. So, simple things as not talking while you're eating, not stretching your hands across the bowl that's there for everyone. Very simple manners we include during playtime, how they exit a room and how they enter a room. Sometimes if adults are standing in the hallway having a conversation and they're walking in the hallway, how do they approach that person? Do they push through the person's having the conversation? Do they say, please excuse me, and then wait? So it's a very integral part of the experience at Garvey School. And it's very, very essential, because it doesn't matter how academically strong a child is. If that child does not know or has not been taught proper manners, then there's something very lacking in that child's experience. And so you really cannot you cannot be wholly educated unless etiquette is an integral part of the experience. And we incorporate that during play, simply walking through the hallway, dining experiences, and just in interaction with each other. Someone has a ball and you would like it. How do you approach that person? Someone has a book and you'd like to borrow it. How do you approach that person? And so, yes, thanks for bringing up this conversation because it's very lacking, we find. And so we're also getting our parents involved in saying, well, this is what we're doing at school, and we'd like for you to continue that at home because it has to be a collaborative experience. As Sister Gibson said, unless it's included in the educational experience outside of home, then we'll have a significant and critical void in a whole person.
A critical void. I like the way you placed that, a critical void, because what our parents tend to believe is that once they send them over to the schools, that their job is kind of completed. And then when you come back, you expect for this to have this great I am child that walk in, not realizing that you have a job to reinforce what's been taught in the school. And you might get something that's being taught in school that you're saying, oh, wait a minute, I'm not agreeable with that. But if you don't participate regularly in what your child is learning, you won't never know how to guide or reinforce. Exactly. So I appreciate that. I have a youth program, and I see some of these middle schools. I walk around, they just move through people, holler at each other, just start talking when somebody is talking. I'm like, no one taught you the word excuse me? You know, what happened to that? You know, so you're right. And with 2 years of social misdevelopment because of the planned COVID, you know, kids have lost a lot of the things they would have received. And they should have gotten better when it came to manners because you were home. You know, you were home with your parents. So yeah, I'm calling parents out. You have a job to do.
That's not the case at all. When you hear about the COVID slide, it's real in every component of the experience, not just the academic experiences, but just in civility, in interactions, in exchanges. We see, oh my goodness, COVID children are supposed to have gotten that extra experience at home. But what we do find in homes where there was already a routine of civility, where there was already a routine of training, that continued. But in a home where the experiences were on the cusp and they needed support, that slide is very evident. And so collectively, we're inviting our parents, partnering with them, not a blame shame game, but a coming together of how we educate and nourish and train our children so that they can be the best of themselves and take advantage of opportunities and be able to walk in any room and gain the attention of the right people. So that's an important, very important component of the educational experience. And I hope this exchange continues even after this program, because it is so essential. It's so essential.
No, you're absolutely right. It is essential. And Ms. G, before we get into, we're almost close to halftime, and then I really want to dive into the authors in their books. But Ms. G, you heard what Principal June O'Connor was sharing in regards to COVID and what the last 2 years have been for some of our students. What do you think that your book or the work that you've been doing can offer to elementary school or a middle school student at this point in time who is coming back from being on the cusp or just lacking those manners and etiquette?
That's one reason why I made it for the schools, for the teachers, to help them, because it's in 3 categories: the manners, the etiquette, and self-esteem. And we are not developing our kids enough in their self-esteem. But listening to the teacher at the place I used to work, I can't call it right now, everything that you just said about you teaching your children is in my book. And if you would like, I will be over to show you the book, and maybe you could include it in your curriculum, and that will give the teachers other things to do and reinforce your students. It's a pleasure being on a panel tonight and knowing that we're reaching out with my book, Manners and Etiquette and Self-Esteem, and it's in Spanish and English. So I'm very proud to know that your school is continuing and others will get on board with us.
Wow. Well, I thank you. And we're gonna applaud you, June, because you've been on the front line, and you've been steady. How many years at the Garvey School? How long?
Entering the
How many years
16th
now?
year. Entering the 16th year.
The 16th
Yes.
year. And when you first started, you started like 4 houses from my house. I remember at the church.
Yes, yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
you first started.
Absolutely. And you've been
who
a
would have
supporter
thought?
ever since. Yep.
Yeah, so God is good. So, ladies, listen, we're getting ready to go into halftime, and then we're going to dive into some real deeper questions in regards to manners and etiquette and our authors. So, with that being said, for those of you viewing tonight, thank you for tuning in to King Talk Tuesdays. We'll be right back on King Talk Tuesdays from a message from a few of our friends.
Good Neighbors Community Outreach Agency provides programs that help community residents improve their lives and support their families. Are you in need of food, clothing, employment, or a home? We also provide immigration services and passport renewal.
Hi, I'm Pastor Glad.
And I'm Lady D.
We're here to serve you.
Need help? Ask us.
You can reach us by calling 718-652-3288 or visit us at gncdcny.org.
Revolution of hip hop. Bronx Terminal Market. 610 Exterior Street. Bronx, New York. Tuesday through Sunday. Pull up.
The Golden Era, 1986 through 1990.
Welcome back to King Talk Tuesdays, the show with real views, real news, and real talk. Here on King Talk Tuesdays, we cover so many topics, whether it's economics, education, healthcare, spirituality, and so much more. We air every Tuesday night on our Facebook page, as well as our YouTube channel. That's King Talk Tuesdays. And we also air every Thursday at 10:30 p.m. on Optimal Channel 70, Files Channel 2136. We also stream on a number of streaming services such as Roku TV, Amazon Prime, Apple TV, Millennial TV, Clash TV. We want to thank everyone who's been tuning in for the last couple of years. And we're always telling everybody, please leave a chat, leave a message in our chat or a question in our chat, or send us an email at kingtalktuesdays@gmail.com. Again, our email address is kingtalktuesdays@gmail.com. We're at halftime of King Talk Tuesday. You know what happens at halftime of King Talk Tuesdays. As a former basketball player, I always got to get my stretch on. Make sure the jump shot and everything is flowing so we can keep that flowetry going on in this conversation that we're having on King Talk Tuesdays. But also, I just want to share, as I always do, we have a world that is a place that's trying to find itself. And we're also asking for everyone, wherever you're doing, whatever you're doing in life, offer a prayer for yourself. Offer a prayer for your neighborhood. Offer prayers for your friends, your enemies, your frenemies, whoever that is. I know for myself, the world has been rough. We all go through our trials and tribulations. For the last couple of years, we've watched the world go from what we used to know to exploring something that we didn't know and dealing with something we were trying to handle. And then now looking what the tomorrow should look like or what it could look like. As the good book says, nothing is promised. Tomorrow is not promised. So how do we focus in being better to ourselves, to be better to each other in today's world? Well, for me, I look up to the heavens, and for me, it's the Most High in Christ. So I'm saying to you, if you haven't found your spirituality, now is the time to look at that place. Satan is real. Some people don't want to talk about it unless they think they're in a church or in a mosque. But listen, the devil is real, and you have good and bad and everything. And so right now, let your spirit be that spirit that is good. Let that source that you need that help you get through those trials and tribulations manifest within you. If you're unsure of what it is, find somebody, talk to somebody, talk to a rabbi, talk to an imam, talk to somebody, but just don't sit there and lead yourself into your own vices. What we know, leading to your own misunderstandings will cause chaos in your own life. So I just pray for everyone. Please, let's be better together, because We're nothing's promised in life. We hear one time that we can remember, and nothing's new underneath the sun. So if we know these things, if we know some scriptures, apply them in your day, each in life. Apply them. I mean, the scriptures get you through it, but you got to know it. You know, faith without works is dead. So you can have all the faith in the world, but if you know what the instructions tell you to do, you know. So I'm just asking everybody, please learn the scriptures, learn some greater spirituality, so you're better to yourself. And the little things that this world tells us that matter, that has us going at each other, goes away. And then we really know who our battle is truly with, because we're fighting principles and principalities in high places. And if you don't know, you will get caught up in the matrix of society. So to prayers and pieces to all my brethren and all my sisters and all my enemies and my friends. I'm not praying for the oppressor. I'm praying for my friends. I'm praying for my enemies. I'm praying for everybody who we can figure out how we can get this right together. But at the end of the day, believe in a higher power, believe in something greater in yourself, so you can do something for somebody else. And your scenario may not seem as stressful as you believe it is. So that being said, let's get back to the second half of King Talk Tuesday. Have three fine young ladies who are, yes, we all young up in here. Don't let nobody tell you, because you got another number higher than somebody else's. You know, we just do what we got to do here on King Talk Tuesdays. So our guests tonight are June O'Connor, who is the great founder and president of the Garvey School. Thank her for, because actually the Marcus Garvey School, there's only two Garvey schools with the name in the city of New York. The other one is, I believe, MS 192 in Brooklyn, I believe it is, in the Bronx. We got here with June O'Connor. And then we have Barbara Gibson, if everyone known from Alphabra, who's been around for a good 50 years in Gun Hill and doing all she could to help our children, teach them manners and etiquette. And then we have the queen herself, who is here, Sister Patricia Myers, who says, hey, listen, no matter how great your life is, when you have to do that transition to the Most High, we got you. We got you. Don't worry about it. We got you. And she does it. She does it right. And we're grateful because she has this new book out. And I'm thankful because the book says so much in its title, Embracing the Teardrops. You know, so many times we think that we're supposed to go through certain things alone, or what does that preparation look like? Even if it's sudden, you know, if you take care today as a good loss, if you take care of them, you tell the birds and the lilies in the field, they're not worried about tomorrow. Take care of today. You know, today will take care of tomorrow, and suffice is the day. So I want to jump into the second half of King Talk Tuesday with Patricia Myers. And you're an author right now. Talk to us a little bit about your book. What is it all about? And let's go from there.
Okay, great. Thank you. My book title, Your Exclusive End of Life Planning Guide. The reason why I wrote this book is because I found out in my career that in the families that I've served, the families are falling into like 5 pitfalls when they come in to make arrangements for their loved one. One, they have incomplete life stories, insufficient knowledge about the person that they know, and it hinders them to create a meaningful life story or an obituary for that person when the time comes. I also discovered that they have unplanned funerals. They don't know what their loved one wishes are when they come in to make funeral arrangements. And that put them into more of a stress when it's time to come to plan for someone's funeral. So I wrote the book to kind of give people a guideline, help them to organize their lives so that the burden is less on the people that you leave behind. There's so much chaos. There's so much confusion. Just like you mentioned, you know, people can be angry at each other, family members, they're not talking to one another. And when death comes, it's more added stress. They're trying to find information. It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack because people are not organized. So this book will give you a simple step-by-step guide to help you to get organized before the end of life. Also, what I've noticed, another pitfall that people face when it comes time to plan a funeral is insurance issue. They may have a life insurance policy, but they don't realize that the policy either has lapsed, there's no named beneficiaries, or if there is a beneficiary listed on the policy, it may be a minor child or someone who is deceased. That's because folks don't go back and revisit what they have to make it easier for the person that they leave behind. So Embracing the Teardrop, your exclusive planning guide, is a step-by-step guide for you to make it easier on your loved one. My first book that I've written was a step-by-step guide to help you to understand the process that you face when you go into a funeral home to make funeral arrangements. And I thought that was going to be it. Just giving you some idea what to do, like if someone died in the house, what's the step to take? Do you call the funeral home? Do you call 911? Or if someone died in the hospital, what do you do? What are the information that you have to bring into the funeral home to help complete a person's death certificate? And when I did that first book, I thought that was going to be it. But I noticed that people are still having a struggle. And that's why I wrote the book, Your Exclusive End of Life Planning Guide. I see that there's a need. I'm on a crusade to help our community, to help people to get organized. This is a subject that no one really wants to talk about. They think it's so taboo. But, as you mentioned, you die, you're born, and you're going to die. Death is a certainty in life. They said taxes and death are the two certainties. We know that when April 15th comes, we have to file those taxes, and if we don't, there is a penalty. When death comes, that's a certainty. There's nothing more that we can do. So since we know that's a certainty of life, why don't we plan and organize ourselves accordingly so that we can eliminate the burden on our loved ones?
Okay, I like that. And I'm just going to add to what you just shared, and I want to get the other ladies' opinions as well. I think one of the greatest things that you say, people use the term death and they think it's taboo. But when you have when you have spirituality inside of you, you're not worried about transitioning. For me, I'm not worried about transitioning into the Most High in Christ, because He teaches us that there is a greater state of mind, a greater state of being, understanding His words and His wisdom. And when you're returning home to the Father, you're in comfort. I say to everybody I go to something, I crack a joke, when someone passes or say, listen, they ain't gotta worry about no Con Ed bills no more. They ain't gotta worry about the rent. They ain't gotta worry about any of that stuff on the madness of this world. And there's a lot of people might want their heaven here on earth. Sometimes you may get it, sometimes you may not, but you're guaranteed for a heaven with the Father if you believe. And that's what King Talk is all about, believing in something greater in yourself to navigate through it. So if you're prepared to transition, like you said, why not prepare for it? If your child is getting ready to go to college, you prepare from going to college, right?
Absolutely.
So why not prepare for them before they transition to leave this earth? You might feel like they're in another room, but if they're in another room, you can't see them, but they're still in the presence of you. So Pat Myers, people don't know you are with McCall's. Right. The job that you do, McCall's Funeral Services, and we want to thank you and James Austin for all the work that you do to be a pillar of our community when it comes to those delicate moments, which requires some manners and etiquette to help families to navigate through what they're going through. I want to stay with you as an author. Now, is this your first book or your second book?
This is my second book.
It's your second book. So talk to us about, other than the inspiration of the transition, why would you think it's so important for you to put a book together at this moment in time? Because you've been in the business for quite some time. What was your motivation, to say, now's the time I need to do this?
Well, what motivated me, seeing I've been with McCall's Bronxville for nearly 30 years, believe it or not. And what inspired me.
How you do? You only look 32. How you do that?
Thank you. But what inspired me to write the book, the first book, it really started off, I became sick some 15 years ago, and I was diagnosed with cancer. And when the doctor told me that, it's like my life just like folded. I didn't think about living. I thought I was going to die. And in that moment, I said, wow, if something were to happen to me right now, I don't have my house in order, so to speak. I would leave more of a burden on my only child to try to navigate through my rubbish to figure out what it is that needs to be done. And after I took a look at myself, I started paying closer attention to the families that I serve. And many of them come in under those same conditions, confused, don't know where to begin because they don't have a roadmap to follow after their loved one has died. And that's the first thing that inspired me to write the book. And now 2023, it's like, you know, I have to help these people to get organized. They know I have some idea what to do now when they come to a funeral home, but there's still something lacking, organization. And this book has been on my heart like over 15 years ago, but I never sat down to write it until my illness struck me. And I said, no, I have to do something. I need to deposit something here in the universe because I have the knowledge, and it would be so unfair if I were to transition with all of this knowledge and not give back to help the people that needs it. So that's really what inspired me to write the book.
Well, I thank you. And we thank you for that because you hit the nail right on the head. And we have something called Generations where I say to the young people, you need to talk to your grandparents, talk to an elder, because they got stuff that you're not going to get in a history book, you know. And I say to everybody, if you got something to give it while you can, because you can't, like I was taught, you can't keep it unless you give it away. So I thank you for that, you know, that messaging, because you have all this wisdom and no need to, you know, let it go to the dust. It's best to share it. So thank you for that. I want to go to you, Ms. Gibson, as an author as well. I believe this is your first book, right?
Yes, but I want to touch on the subject of her book. And I don't want to change it, but I just lost my husband. However,
our condolences.
Yeah. Thank you. The service that you have put in your book would have been 100% for my use. Wow. But I was able to work with someone that said, we got to get this right. We got to get this right. And that was from the cremation to putting a wreath outside the door to preparing the list of all the family names to get us back and forth. And the most important thing, make sure that insurance is up to date. And that was a blessing to me. And I'm able to sit here with peace of mind because I did a thorough job with the assistant of the Williams Funeral in Sumter, South Carolina. So Pamela, I appreciate your book. I just hope others will pick it up and utilize it because it is needed. And as the young lady said, we got to get this right because the family is all in derare and they want to tell you what to do, and you got to get the minister, you got to get the piano player, it was an experience for me.
Yes.
But the most important thing was I had that insurance intact. That's like your taxes.
That's right.
So congratulations on your book.
Thank you so much.
Also to the Garvey School, I started at the Yellow Schoolhouse teaching kids pre-K I'm kind of full now. But anyway, that's why I started writing my book at your school that you are at today. Wow, when it was a yellow schoolhouse. So
yeah.
So I have been in the community for a while and preparing to write my book on manners and etiquette and self-esteem. And I will be by to see you very soon.
Awesome. I'm honored to carry on the tradition that you've started, such a very necessary part of our children's education. Thank you. And I'm honored to be here on this panel with you, and I look forward to welcoming you and to you meeting all the students and our staff. So open doors. We look forward to seeing you.
I'll be able to walk around in the rooms that I used to teach manners and etiquette and self-esteem there.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. So I'm delighted.
It's a beautiful place.
That's great.
It's a beautiful place.
It is. It is very appropriate.
Well, listen, ladies, we have to take a quick break. Since you were talking about your early childhood teaching. Well, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to bring you back. We're going to bring you back because you talked about the youth, you talk about the teacher, you talk about manners and giving some etiquette. What is the program trying to do just that? And we're going to do this. We're going to use our book too. We're going to be right back on King Talk Tuesday after message from the Bronx Youth Empowerment Program.
The Bronx Youth Empowerment Program, YEP, is a youth organization that has served the Northeast Bronx for 17 years. During our tenure, we have provided recreational and educational forums that have nurtured the growth of many youth in the community. YEP has also serviced hundreds of youngsters around New York City. YEP's target audience is youth from the age of 11 to 18 with the goal of helping youth become productive adults. YEP provides young people with resources to explore leadership skills, community involvement, and self-development. YEP consists of weekly and bi-weekly informational sessions with guest speakers from professional, political, and entertainment arenas. Also, as a part of community involvement, YEP will host trips to a variety of venues for educational and recreational experiences. As we continue to partner with other local organizations and serve our community, we will strive to unite and develop the youth in our community. The mission of the Bronx Youth Empowerment Program is building mind, body, and community.
Oh yeah. Building mind, body, and community, the Bronx Youth Empowerment Program, started by yours truly and my lovely wife, Neva Schillingsford King. We've been doing this for 18 years. I was like, Lord, didn't know I was going to be standing still doing it, but the Lord has a plan, and we're just following through with his plan. We meet, and we just started another year, our 18th year again. We are now serving children from the ages 11 to 18 years of young, and we're just having a dynamic time. We meet every Friday at Richard R. Green Middle School, 3710 Barnes Avenue. So if you have a young person you'd like to let them join the program, we'll be there this Friday as we celebrate the Feast of the Tabernacle. So get ready for that one. For our young people to be there, we'll be dressed up and having our feast with our first fruits as the fall harvest kicks itself in. So we're looking forward to having a nice, lovely feast and do some spiritual reading as well, because that's what it's all about, to help them navigate this world today. So thank you to the Bronx Youth Empowerment Program and all they've been doing for the last couple of decades. So we want to jump right back into our last segment. Before we do that, I want to give you a shout out, Patricia Meyer, because we're going to go into you authors and schooling, but we got this comment that came in, and I want to see if I can read it. It says from Susan Williams. It says, McCall's Awesome Funeral Home. They handled my mother, my brother, and husband. My God, thank you for your professionalism through my bereavement. My family had no drama because of policies and the wills that were in place. So I want to thank you on behalf of Susan Williams and her entire family. It looks like you've been servicing the family too. So God is good.
Thank you.
So thank you. And thank you again to Jay Gooden Sr., who's tuning in. Want to thank him for tuning in. Also, Andrea Walters, who's chimed in and dropped a comment on the topic itself, relating that. It's a very good topic. And it's like she appreciates she says, the speakers are, she said, y'all awesome. She loves the way Sister June is including the parents and not ostracize them. Constructive collaboration will go a long way in our children's life. Local 371 in the house. Sister girl, Andre. Well, we welcome her for all kind and strong words. Listen, in this last segment, I mentioned to you all, and I would, as a New York City council member, one of the things I was tasked with was being the chair of libraries. And being that chair, one of the things that I recognize, and being a youth developer, recognize that reading is the essence of all success in life. It don't matter how charismatic you are, how wise you believe you are. If you can't read a letter or a number, your life is a little backwards. And for our children, it gets agitation kicks in, discomfort kicks in, bad behaviors, misbehaviors start kicking in just because they cannot read. So I think the chancellor this year was focusing on making reading a priority. And as we did in the city council, I had a campaign called Reading is Cool. And we want to bring that back, encourage our students to continue to read and do more reading. So to my authors and to the principal, Talk to us about, June. We start with you. How are you encouraging students at the start of the school year to do more reading?
Oh, thank you for bringing that up. So we have a challenge. It's called the 40 book challenge, that we'd like our children who are reading independently to read 4 books per month, and our younger ones 4 books per month minimum to be read to them. In addition to that, we also joined a program that's called Readathon. And so the children and their parents will record every single minute they read. They text it, they email it, they share it with family members. It's a wonderful little competition and fun way of having our kids continue to develop and expand their interest in reading. And also, what's important as a part of this experience is being acknowledged by family, friends, neighbors, church community. So they will text the minutes, the number of minutes they've read, to all of those people who will in turn praise them. So we have the 40 book challenge and we have the Readathon, and that will be all year long. And of course, we have promised the children that they will get wonderful prizes for reaching that 40 book milestone minimum, at a minimum. And also for those who continue to read the minutes, record the minutes, text, email, tell friends, neighbors, family members about it, they also will be rewarded and encouraged in a very special way. So reading is a very big part of what we do. And then there is a time in the day which is called, labeled as DEAR, Drop Everything and Read, where every single child is reading or being read to. We have a time in the day for that, which is separate and apart from their direct instruction in reading, literature, and phonics. So big on the reading.
Big on the reading. So Ms. G, you've been teaching kids to read as well. Talk to us a little about how do you utilize your book and how you believe it's going to motivate people to want to start reading more?
That's a good question. That's why I'm out passing my flyers, talking to parents, letting them know that reading is very important. Even the schools should be taking the kids to the library to see how it is organized and see how you sit down and be quiet and read and get your knowledge. I stayed in a library for 2 years writing my book, and it was a beautiful experience using the computer and sitting down and reading and getting the information from the librarians. I think our children need that exposure too. So any way that you can incorporate reading, yes. And then some of them can read, but what kind of books are they reading? Reading is purpose, but what is the purpose? So I grant you that. And I love to read, and hopefully the others will learn to read more as well. And a positive book. But however, my cousin used to read comic books, and he was an A student. So as the chancellor is requesting, read more and you'll learn and know more.
Read more, you get to learn and know more. Well, I thank you. I thank you for that. Pat, as a 2-time author, how do you believe that your book is going to get out there and get people to start reading, especially the adults? We're not looking at the 5-year-old reading this book right now, but maybe the 55-year-old or the 35-year-old should be reading this book right now.
Absolutely. I believe my book would be helpful to many because, as I say, your life, your end of life is your responsibility. We see that when someone dies, it's always left on their loved one and with people that are unprepared. But I tell folks, stop, take a look in the mirror, re-examine yourself. Do you have your house in order? So with this book, I think it will help you to take a look at yourself, organize yourself, things that you don't have in place, get it in place. We all have busy lives and we don't have time to take care of our own life. We're so busy helping other people. And when this part of life, when the end stage of life hit us, personally, we are in a mess. So I don't want people to continue to live that way. I want them to stop, pause, turn the mirror to yourself, and be honest with yourself. Do I really have my house in order? And this book is a step-by-step guide. It starts about you telling your life story so that your loved one would know a little bit more about you. It will help you to write your story. Just make things a whole lot easier. I tell folks, don't leave a legacy, don't leave a liability, but leave a legacy to your loved one. We all have a legacy here. So put it in order, put things in order. This way your family can better celebrate you instead of wondering why, where can I find this, that, or the other.
Right.
So leave a legacy, not a liability, and look in the mirror, take care of you. You're your own responsibility. And I think if we all take care of ourselves and do what's necessary, it will be, the world will be a better place.
I agree. Leave a legacy, not a liability. Leave a legacy, not a liability. So we're going to do a legacy. We're coming to a close. We're coming to an end. I'm getting ready to read my closing. I just got word that my producer is about to go into labor. So we're going to wish her well and end this show so she can go have her baby. And may God continue to watch over and be with her. And as we always do on King Talk Tuesdays, we close every show with a scripture. Thank you, ladies, again for being on tonight's show. Tonight's show reads from Romans chapter 12, verse 2. And be not comforted by this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may be proved what is that is good and acceptable and perfect will of God. If no one told you today, God loves you, and so do I. Your friend, your brother, and your neighbor, Andy King. Peace.